The hurting fire within will be extinguished. By the time I stepped outside, the leaves were on fire. A hue of orange and just a slight tinge of a lemon rind radiated from the leaves of autumn. Henna smelled the breezy, cold air and let out a sigh of relief that made her shudder. She never felt this jubilant and free from the mere cast of fire stretched out in front of her. She wonders if she was finally from her own fire burning within her, the fire that kept her insane for months. Well, someone's looking fine today. Kara smiled sadly, finally up. Henna hugged her coat tightly and gave a weak smile. She walked back into the warmth of the cabin as she stood in silence, staring into the portable fire pit they had set up. Kara saw the fire reflect against Henna's eyes, like a fire dying out and going into darkness. Henna dash. Kara grabbed her by the arm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Kara pulled away. But was it her stubbornness or was it her rage within her that reflected like the fire in front of them? Just leave me alone, Henna sighed, you'll never understand. No matter what. And just like that, Kara left the living room and back to her room again, locked. After 3 hours passed, Kara knocked on Henna's door hoping she would answer the door. To her surprise, the door opened to darkness and nothingness. Kara took a step back and was speechless. Again, said Kara warily, you're just going to lock yourself up again in this hellhole? Do you even have a life? Henna stared blankly at Kara and that's when she exploded. Until you try to understand what's going on with me, you can stay out of my life. You're toxic. Get out, fine, shouted Kara. She stomped across the hallway and into her cabin room fuming with rage. What's up with her, anyway? All she does is stay holed up in her room for a month. Depression, tooted Kara, I'm sad too. What's the big deal? Everyone gets sad at one point in their lives anyway. She's just an attention seeker. Suddenly, Kara calmed down so quick like the autumn leaves falling. Maybe, sighed Kara, I was too quick to judge. After all, she is my best friend and I shouldn't let bad emotions be a problem in this friendship. She sat on her bed and stared on her creaked wooden floor, helpless. But what do I do? The next day, Kara went out to the city to get some groceries for the cabin. They were running out on supplies and she had always been the one responsible for the goods. Strolling across the small town in autumn felt great for her. It felt like calmness after a birthday candle was blown. She sniffed the smell of flowers and packed a bag of baguettes from the local bakery for sandwiches as dinner. After getting her chores done, she took out her truck keys and was about to walk to the parking lot when she accidentally bumped into her old friend, Diana. Diana? Kara went wide-eyed. Oh, it's you. Diana deadpanned. Kara ignored the offense and was still speechless from the run-in. What are you doing here? Stammered Kara, I should be asking you that. I live in the woods just a few kilometers away and came to get groceries. I'm just doing the usuals. Diana's eyes softened and her lips turned into a genuine smile. Oh. Diana smiled, I see you're living a different life now. Yeah. Kara nodded, currently living with a roommate back in the cabin. Diana raised an eyebrow. Huh, I see. Well, how is she doing? Kara hesitated for a moment and was nervously moving her legs back and forth. Diana noticed. You know, sighed Diana, you can just tell me. I know you too well. You were my girlfriend, so just shoot along. Well, Henna's being a real jerk and has been staying in her room for a month and it's already autumn and she's claiming she has depression, which is such an excuse. Kara blurted out. She cupped her mouth in shock. She didn't realize how angry she was about the situation. Diana stared in silence. She was staring at Kara from head to toe and could definitely tell she was wearing a mask of judgmentalism on her face. You're an idiot. No wonder I broke up with you. What is that supposed to mean? Kara raised her voice. She's suffering from depression and you're treating it like it's nothing. You did the same to me when we were together 5 years ago. You couldn't understand Jack no matter how much I explained. Diana sighed, there's a difference and mental health is a serious issue. There's a difference and you can make that difference. Diana shook her head and walked off to the small street in her boots, leaving Kara behind with loss of words. It was a quiet journey home back to the cabin. The usual spur of country and pop music that boomed from her radio was dead. She was lost in thoughts. She parked her car into the driveway and sat there for a long time. What have I done? Kara cried in her car. I'm going to lose her too, this time. You won't, came a voice from the window. I won't leave. Why?
Where were you? Muriel's footsteps made a hollow echo on the museum floor as she stopped short in front of a photograph of the World Trade Center in flames. Softly in the back of her mind a country song flitted through. Where were you when time stopped frozen that September day? September 11, 2001. A tingle of fear crept up Muriel's spine, remembering. Mama, Muriel had said, running up to her mother that Tuesday morning, can I have a SSSHHH? Her mother laid a finger across her lips and lifted Muriel onto her lap. Hands trembling, Muriel had never felt her mother's strong, confident hands tremble before. Mama was all dressed up for work and was clutching her purse, getting ready to take Muriel to school. Muriel looked up and saw that Mama's face was pulled together in jagged lines, white as if she had seen something terrible. Or heard something. That's when Muriel's 5-year-old mind realized whatever was causing her mother's face to scrunch up was on the radio. An announcer's voice was saying, early in the morning today, a plane from American Airlines swerved off course and crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. This was just off the press, more details to follow. No updates yet on any fatalities. Mama sat there rubbing Muriel's back up and down, listening to advertisements about cleaning supplies, waiting for the news reporter to come back on the radio. When he did not return quickly, she flipped on the TV to the morning news channel. This is NCB News reporting live. We just got the news that a plane was hijacked and careened into the World Trade Center. Mama, Muriel asked quietly, what is it? What's a World Trade Center? Muriel stared at the video footage of a plane crashing and fire erupting from a crumbling building. Mama turned her head very slowly away from the TV and faced her little daughter. It'll be okay, honey, just something happened to a plane and some people got hurt. Mama didn't go to work that day, and Muriel didn't go to school. Muriel's grown-up brother called in from college out of state to see how they were doing. It was so quiet that day. Then came the headlines day after day starting with 3 words, paid notice, death. After that day the world changed. The day before, Mama had hung over the fence, chatting with the neighbors. People stopped right in the middle of the grocery store just to say hello and how are you. Muriel could play on the street with the next-door neighbor children until dark. When the street lights flickered on and Mama called, Muriel time to come in. The day after, Muriel couldn't play in the street anymore. Instead of stopping to chat, people would walk past each other in the grocery store, staring at each other suspiciously as if each thought the other had committed some secret scandal. You couldn't go on an airplane without walking through a scanner, and you couldn't even bring your fingernail clippers. Muriel sighed. Hey, Muriel's fiancé, Jordan, slung his arm around her shoulders. He looked thoughtfully at the photo. Do you remember what you were doing that day? Muriel asked. Yeah, replied Jordan. I was new to the 2nd grade. I was sitting at the desk by the window, behind a dude who was picking his nose. Somebody came in and whispered something to my teacher. She told us to wait in class and left the room. She was gone for what seemed like hours, then when she came back we all had to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And she told us in brief about what happened. They gazed at the photo for a few more seconds, then together followed the others in the group to the next display room. Now this might look familiar to you, Grandpa, said Judith, as she pushed her elderly relative in the wheelchair into the World War II display room. George scanned the room. He took in the faces in black and white photos of young fresh-faced boys in crisp uniforms, ready to ship out and fight to defend the country. He smiled softly as he passed a display of in-the-day items which at one time had been so common to every American household, a war-proof A11 spec wristwatch, a gas-proof baby buggy, one of the first models of microwave, a well-worn pickaxe used in trenches, Johnson. Everything was rationed and it was very hard to get meat, so this canned meat was a huge treat. We had it for Christmas one year, sent all the way by my mother to me when I was part of recovery in Britain. Then there was the dress. A stylish rayon red polka dot dress, available with wartime coupons, complete.